Hello and welcome back to the tutorial series on Roland Handsonic HPD 20. This is the tutorial 4, and if you have missed the previous ones, I will post links on top corners of this video for you to access them easily. In previous videos we covered the fundamentals of this instrument. Here we are going to discuss about the DAW integrations, how to use this instrument in our studios to make beautiful drum tracks. We can use the HPD 20 to record our music to our project in 4 ways. One, you can just save your performance in the HPD 20 and use a USB drive to transfer it into your computer. Two, using an audio interface, you can connect the HPD 20 to your computer as inputs and record an audio track on your digital audio workstation. You can also record your performance as a MIDI track in your DAW, and we will see how we do it later. Lastly, you can control a VST software instrument using the HPD 20 pads. So you will be using the software instrument sounds, but you can add a realistic human touch by playing on the pads. I'm not going to cover how to use a USB drive. It's fairly self-explanatory, and we have discussed about this in my previous videos. We will discuss about the other 3 methods in details in the next couple of videos. As you can see, here I am using Cubase. That's my preferred DAW. I have seen a tutorial on how to integrate HPD 20 to Logic Pro, and I don't think the method is different to what we are showing here in other DAWs as well. So now let's jump in and see how we record an audio track. My audio interface is Focusrite 18i8, and in the next short video clip I will show you how I have connected the HPD 20 to my computer through that. So simply from the audio outs in the back panel of the HPD 20, left and right channels are going in as input 1 and 2 into a Focusrite 18i8, which is in turn connected to computer via USB. Now we go to our DAW and make sure that everything is set and good to go. So different DAWs, there are different systems. So in Cubase Studio Setup, here you can see my audio interface is already integrated, and then we have to check our outputs and inputs whether they have been recognized correctly. So for that we go to audio connections in Cubase, and I'm using control room here as my output, so you can see Scarlett 18i8 there, and my input 1 and 2 has been integrated as left and right inputs. So that's all done, and all we have to do is now start recording. Now let's make ourselves an audio track here, and I am using, now you go and select your inputs. I'm using a stereo track here, so you select input 1 and 2. You can make a mono track as well as you wish. Then make sure that your audio output is stereo out. So let's give a name, HD HPD 20 audio. Now we have got our audio track. So if you put your monitors on, you can see that the sound is coming through. Now we just go ahead and record something. Here we go. So there you go, as simple as that. You have your own audio track. If you play it back, that's it. That's your audio track done. And if you know your DAW setups and settings, it is as simple as that. So it is easy, but I have to mention that there are some disadvantages of record your HPD 20 this way, namely that your editing capabilities are limited. You can subject this audio clip to your normal editing options that is provided by your DAW. You can time stretch in Cubase, and you can extend it or shorten, or you can quantize in different ways. But the precision editing that you get from MIDI recording is not an option here. But don't get disheartened. HPD20 is well capable of recording MIDI, which is a great thing. So we're going to have a look at how to record MIDI using HPD20 next. Before jumping into recording MIDI, we need to know the difference between a MIDI track and an instrument, software instrument track in your DAW. MIDI track is simply a track where you can record and register MIDI notes which are generated from an external instrument like HPD20. But if you do not have an external instrument as a MIDI out to trigger those MIDI notes that we have recorded, you will not hear a sound simply by playing it in your DAW. On the other hand, the software instruments tracks, we call them VSTIs, they are coming with inbuilt software instruments with their own sounds. So as soon as you lay some MIDI notes on those tracks, you can play them back. Now let's go and check whether our system is set up for MIDI recording. Again, studio setup, and you can see that my HPD20 is recognized as input as well as output. In my MacBook, this is automatically recognized. I don't know how it is in Windows. Maybe you may have to install some drivers to get the HPD20 integrated into your DAW. Whatever the way, you have to make sure that your HPD20 is visible as MIDI in as well as MIDI out before we do the recording. Now we are all set. So let's go and make a MIDI track here. Again, emphasizing on that it should be a MIDI track rather than an instrument track. So you press on MIDI and give it a name. Now we have the track. There's an important step that we should not miss. That is to set the MIDI MIDI input. You can either choose all MIDI input, or you can select specifically HPD20. Now here I will select HPD20, and then we go ahead and record our MIDI track. Here we go. Let's do it. Don't worry about the quality of my performance. Now you can see the MIDI track has been recorded. If I click on this, you will see that the editor window, that your usual MIDI notes are there. So you can fine edit this whatever the way you want. So you can change the instruments like that. You can increase the velocity or decrease the velocity. You can lengthen or shorten the notes. So having the flexibility of changing the quality sounds from HPD20 is an amazing thing. But there's a shortfall here as well. Because there's no software instrument, you cannot directly render this into an audio track, which is an important factor at the mixing stage. I will demonstrate it here, that if I play this track back, we will not hear any sounds. There you go. You can see the fader going up and down, but there's no sound coming out because there's no software instrument or external instrument attached to it. So what we can now do is to name an external instrument, assign an external instrument to generate the sounds triggered by these MIDI notes. So here our plan is to use HPD20 and use those beautiful sounds to respond to these MIDI notes. So I'm going to assign HPD20 as my external instrument out, MIDI out, to this MIDI track. So we go to track inspector and then select MIDI out and use HPD 20 as your MIDI output. And do not forget to change the MIDI channel number. In my HPD 20, my MIDI channel number is set to 10. So here I have to select 10, and now you can hear HPD now is generating the sound. Okay, now these MIDI notes are generating sound from the HPD 20, and HPD 20 is connected to my interface as input 1 and 2. So I can make another audio track and record another audio track as we seen before that we have done in the beginning of this video. So we can have a proper audio file we can use in the mixing stage. So go ahead and create another audio file and select instrument input 1 and 2. So HPD 20 audio 2. Now enable audio on that track and just hit the record button. That's it. First you saw how to record an audio track with limited amount of editing, and then you saw how to record a MIDI track which can be extensively edited and still generate an audio file which can be used for our songs. So now you know the options and the flexibilities provided by this beautiful instrument. Thank you very much again, and I hope you join me again in next video, and please don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you.